A very good morning to all of you present here this morning. The Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, Head of the Department, keynote speaker, guest speaker, professors, sustainability. Will be presented.
Sri Lanka Pinbar Randirani Srinivasa Maha Aganagare Sri Jayavardhana Pura Sarasavi Sri Namaya Randhavam Lomudune Kaduwe Siri Sumagul Samidun Igikala Vidyodaya Vidubimadun Eliyen Divi Magasarasau Sri Lanka Pinbar Randirani Srinivasa Maha Aganagare Sri Jayavardhana Pura Sarasavi Sri Namaya Randhavam Lomudune Ayuktiyedi Vivadashili
Asatyedi Vicharashili
Viyat Sabhamed Samajashili Viyatun Vidaya Pobrayau Sri Lanka Pinbar Randirani Srinivasa Maha Aganagare Sri Jayavardhana Pura Sarasavi Sri Namaya Randhavam Lomudune Vidya Uppatatan Setta Vidya Uppatatan Setta Vidya Uppatatan Setta
Good morning. And also, they have conducted studies on the developments, new developments in accounting profession, such as machine learning, then big data, and so forth. And also they have explored how these changes, the technological advancements, are affecting the accounting, auditing, and the taxation professions. So I'm truly impressed by the diversity of their work and also diversity of the research methodologies they have followed. Now, for me, that highlights three things. Number one, it's the quality of the accounting undergraduates. Number two, it's the inevitable and the sweeping changes that are taking place in the accounting profession, which we cannot undermine. So that's something we need to explore. Number three, it's the hard work of all the supervisors who are behind me. So that congratulations to all the supervisors and the presenters for your excellent work. So ladies and gentlemen, this time we have selected 35 abstracts out of 200 plus studies conducted at the Department of Accounting. So we ensured that these papers that have been selected for the conference are the papers or the studies that have got the highest grades. And all these abstracts went through a rigorous quality and a peer review process. And some of these abstracts were revised not once, not twice, but many times until they meet the expected quality standards. And thereafter, all the abstracts went through a rigorous language editing process. And that's how we ensured the quality of the work being presented here. Therefore, I'm confident that these presenters, the presentations and the studies will add value to the accounting profession, and it will add value to the conference as well. And also, it will inspire the young accountants as well as the undergraduates who are here to conduct quality studies as part of your degree program. Well, with that, I think I'm coming to the end of my short speech. I'm sure that Vanshika is checking the time. Yeah, right. So to ensure that I stay within 5 minutes of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues and young accountants and students, I invite you to actively participate in this conference, especially the 6 technical sessions we have organized for you, and make this event engaging, entertaining, enlightening, and educating. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your warm sentiments of welcome. I would now like to respectfully invite Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardana, the head of the Department of Accounting, to express his thoughts on this venture.
Good morning. Dean, Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, Dr. Dushantha Jayavikrama. Chairman of the Young Accountants Conference, Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna. Secretary, Ms. Amali. Young Accountants Conference Secretary. Senior professors, lecturers, senior lecturers, and young accountants, especially who coming here and going to do their presentation, and my students, dear students. This is our, Young Accountants Conference is the one of the main academic event of the Department of Accounting. We have many events, AFMA also conducting many events with us, but this is the main academic event. In a faculty is concerned, ICBMA is in the management faculty main event. That is also the first ICBM conference organized by myself. And the Young Accountants Conference also, the first one organized by myself and the Dr. Sanjeevani together. I think in that time you were in the second year. You are in the second year. I think some of them here, I think they have already helped me to organize that conference. This is a very important conference because you have worked with us for 4 years, and finally you did a very good research, and students who got grade A and above, they are the one who comes here and present today. These are very quality research work they have done, otherwise they are not getting a grade A. And that is one aspect. And second aspect, the objective of this conference, why I name is Young Accountants Conference rather than putting Students Conference. I don't want to make it because this is, you already complete the degree, got the results, most of them are graduated, and you are waiting for a convocation. In between, I think we are conducting this conference. That means you are fully qualified, and now you are going to present your work. You are accountants. The accountants mean what we feel, I think they are working with the organization and maximize the profit of the others. But here is a little different. You do something to the society and community, your findings, so your industry you are disseminating. That is the one part of the objective. Second part of the Young Accountant Conference objective is now this is kind of a networking and you need a further studies. Just think about after the first degree. Now you all have first degrees, especially our young accountants. You have to think about that your masters and PhDs as well. Most of the masters and PhDs, you have some research components. I think those students who did a very good research, very easily they can go through the research process. That is also one of the advantage. And our university also have a master's degrees. Even PhDs also, no need to go to the abroad, but here also you can do, but up to you to choice where you go and do the masters. But anyway, you have to pay for that. No free education after the first degree. Okay, right. That's the thing what I want to talk to you because time is managed by Ms. Amali. Thank you very much for coming today. I think this day is your day. You have to enjoy the entire day and present, get their comments, and then understand that this is nothing connected to the marks given to you, no results, no again giving grades, right? Forget about these things, right? Very freely do it that, right? We are not giving any marks, definitely sure. This is your voluntarily do your publication, you are getting the publication, and after presentation you get the certificate. Certificate will be a very advantage. I think in your CV also you can mention that one. And this is a freely, you can enjoy the day. Thank you, and see you in the next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for those kind and appreciative words. The mediation and the guidance of the Dean has always been invaluable, and we are always grateful to you, sir. And I now most respectfully invite Dr. Dushant Jayavikrama, the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, to address the gathering.
Thank you, Vanshika. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Nuwan Gunratna, the conference chair, Ms. Amali Henadira, the conference secretary, Senior Professor Kendi Gunawardena, the head of the department, professors, academic staff members of the faculty, and academic staff members of the Department of Accounting, Dr. Sanjay Kuruppu, the keynote speaker today, and Dr. Upe Katupola, the guest speaker who are joining us online. As the Dean of the Faculty, let me join in this proudest moment of the Department of Accounting of our faculty, conducting the Young Accountants Conference for the first time. Remembering the contribution, acknowledging the contribution of the founders of this department, Emeritus Professor M.W. Wickramarachchi and Professor Athula Manawadu, and senior members of the department. Today, the young accountants are enjoying the fruits of the seeds they have planted long time ago. The department has come a long way in producing qualified, recognized accountants to the Sri Lankan accounting field as well as the accounting field in the international arena. Being an academic institute of high repute in both Sri Lanka and the Asian region, I'm very glad to see the department has taken initiatives with its qualified, experienced group of academic researchers, taking initiatives to inculcate a research culture in line with the faculty vision of being more research-oriented academic institute. Accounting generally being considered as more practical oriented profession, we are very glad to see qualified group of academics with their young talented accountants looking at the practice of accounting more theoretical manner, questioning the practice of accounting, questioning the future of the practice of accounting, and contributing to the development of the profession of accounting with a research focus. As a faculty, I think this is what we should be looking forward to. And I'm very sure that the Young Academic Conference today, conducted for the fourth time, will carry the legacy of our faculty department for the future. What you are doing today will be the example, role model for the generations to come in and join us in the future. The research component that you engage in will be the challenge and also will demarcate the quality of the degree. As I usually say, the jewel of a crown of a degree program, undergraduate degree program, is the research component they engage in, because you are training yourself to be a qualified project manager, you're training yourself to be a critical thinker, and you're training yourself to be a knowledge creator, and you're sensing the field of knowledge you have engaged in the research process. You feel that you have gained some expertise from among different subjects you have studied over a period of 4 years. So it is in that sense, I would like to, as the Dean of the Faculty, congratulate the young accountants who are putting forward their new ideas to the world today, along with their research supervisors. Congratulations once again, and I must thank all the coordinators, the team behind organizing this wonderful event. And I wish everyone a wonderful day, academically rewarding, intellectually inspiring day in your department. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for those words of wisdom. Now it is the ideal time to unravel the legendary journey of the Department of Accounting, which has been the center of accounting education in many decades.
This is the story of an academic institution built upon the platform of the wisdom of old and energized by a new vision. Almost 150 years ago, in 1873, a new gateway to knowledge and scholarship was opened with the setting up of the legendary Vidyodaya Piruvena, a famed center of Buddhist and Oriental learning. It was granted university status in 1959 as Vidyodaya University of Ceylon and was renamed the University of Sri Javardhanapura in 1978. Having pioneered management education in the country in 1960, the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce of the university was established in 1972. Within this thriving knowledge hub, the Department of Accounting was set up to produce a new class of graduates capable of addressing the accounting and financial management needs of the complex business landscape as it unfolded in the early years of neoliberalism in the country. It was a challenge to embark in this direction because it entailed acting contrary to the previously established order and which meant treading into uncharted territory. Having commenced operations in February 1992 with 2 founding figures and just 60 students, the department has grown to over 200 students enrolled annually, from those obtaining the highest Z scores at the GCE Advanced Level Commerce stream. They come under the tutelage and guidance of a body of competent academics consisting of over 15 PhD holders and a large number of those with professional accounting qualifications. The product portfolio of the department consists of the 4-year Bachelor of Science degree in accounting, the core study program, a master's degree in professional accounting, a diploma program in computer-based accounting, and an advanced diploma program in computer-based accounting. All study programs adopt an outcome-based education model and student-centered learning methods. They are continuously upgraded to align with contemporary global developments in education and the ever-changing demands in the local and global job markets. All study programs comply with the Sri Lanka Qualification Framework, International Education Standards and Subject Benchmark Statements. From the beginning, the BSc Accounting Special Degree Program has been built on 4 pillars, which have contributed to its emergence as one of the most up-to-date accounting degree programs, not only in Sri Lanka but globally. A 2-year compulsory internship program in accounting and finance, information technology integrated accounting courses, life and aesthetic skills development as an integral component, English as a medium of instruction with business communication given pride of place. This enables students to experience how concepts, principles, and theories are practiced in the world of work. A melding of theory and practice, it covers a wide array of sub-disciplines including accounting, auditing and assurance, taxation, management accounting, financial reporting, and general management. Application of IT in accounting runs like a common thread in the degree program. There is a strong flavor of IT in its various forms throughout the study program. Development of life and aesthetic skills plays a pivotal role in the Department of Accounting. This is largely initiated and implemented through AFMA, the Accounting and Financial Management Association, the student body of the department. Students carry out a variety of projects each year which unleash their latent talents and help make balanced young men and women. Students are given a thorough training in developing English language proficiency as well as in its use in effective business communication. Research, the search for new knowledge, is an integral component of higher education. Both the bachelor's and master's degree programs carry heavy components of research. In addition to guiding students in their research, the academic staff is deeply involved with their own research pursuits and publishing, both locally and internationally. The department was fortunate enough to receive large contributions in funds from the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank for capacity development as well as for improving the relevance and quality of the degree program. Over the years, a wide range of corporate and public sector organizations have worked closely with the department, which have encompassed the signing Memorandum of Understanding. The services rendered by the Department of Accounting is not confined to its students, but extends beyond to the university system, national educational institutions, professional accounting bodies, industry, and the general public. The jewel in the crown of any academic department is its alumni. The number of alumni of the Department of Accounting exceeds 3,000 graduates who are gainfully employed both here and overseas and do provide yeoman service at their places of work and in the society they serve. A large number of graduates, having acquired postgraduate qualifications, adorn their respective organizations as high-ranking professionals, accruing honor and glory to the department. The Department of Accounting has played the role of pathfinder in many an educational endeavor in accounting for over a quarter of a century. With its sights set on going in search of new frontiers in accounting education, research and consultancy with an outward-looking approach, it will continue to light up the path for others to follow, and thereby be of service to the student community, industry and to society at large.
I hope that you enjoyed a remarkable journey. We made a slight alteration in the agenda. Accordingly, now it is the time to launch the conference proceedings of today's conference, which contain all of the abstracts of the research studies performed. In keeping with the modern trends, this will be a digital launch. For that, I would like to invite Dr. Dushyant Jayavikrama, the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, and Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardena, the Head of the Department of Accounting, to launch the conference proceedings. Also, I would like to invite Dr. Nuwan Gunaratna and Ms. Zamali Henadiragi to accompany them. So at the beginning, if you remember, I asked you to keep your data on for this reason. The attendants also can now access the digitally launched conference proceedings by scanning the QR code displayed on the screen. So you can please take a moment and scan the QR code displayed on the screen. So hope you were able to access the conference proceedings, which exist or consist of the abstracts of research studies conducted by our very own young accountants. If you could not scan it, don't worry, you would have received the conference proceedings via an email by now. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next segment of today's inauguration, I would like to make a brief introduction about our next speaker, Dr. Sanjay Kurupu. He is a senior lecturer in accounting and an associate stream director of the Center for Markets, Values and Inclusion. He has taught subjects ranging from management accounting, strategic financial analysis, corporate social responsibility, and international business. Mr. Sanjay has completed a Bachelor of Commerce degree with a first class honors and a Master of Commerce by Research with a first class honors from the University of Canterbury in New Zealand. He completed his PhD at the University of South Australia. Mr. Sanjay's research examines the accountability and governance of organizations with a focus on sustainability reporting and NGO public accountability issues. His latest research also investigates how emerging technology can impact organizations and the accounting profession. Also, his research has been published on top-tier accounting and business journals. Dear sir, we are honored to have you with us today. He will be joined with us virtually. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Just give me a minute to hopefully start sharing my screen. I believe you might have to stop your share before I can start sharing my screen and my PowerPoints. Hopefully you can see the PowerPoints that I have here. It's a great pleasure to be able to address the Young Accountants Research Conference today. I'd especially like to thank Dr. Nuwan Gunaratne and the organizing committee for the kind invitation. I'd also like to acknowledge that I'm joining you from the lands of the Ghana people. They have a special custodianship of the Adelaide and Adelaide Plains region, and I acknowledge their elders past, present, and emerging. I have a very brief period of time to give this keynote address, which I thought I'd focus on the technological advancements and the future of the accounting profession. So, a few quick themes. I'm going to talk about the impact of technology on jobs, which I assume all of you are interested in, the key technologies to consider and the implications for accounting, and your role as accountants and further skills to develop. Firstly, accounting and accountants have always been in the firing line in terms of digital disruption. This article from about 10 years ago listed accountants and auditors as having a 94% probability of getting replaced by some form of computer technology. We're usually in the firing line because we have a very technical art in terms of what we do that some see is quite easy to duplicate with programming and algorithms. But I'd like to argue that that's not quite the case. Despite that, in some recent reports from, say, PwC, will robots really steal our jobs? It's shown that the financial services sector in particular is at the highest risk of facing change, especially over the next decade. And this is more so than many other industry sectors. It claims that about a third of jobs in UK at high risk of automation and replacement by robotic process automation or other technologies, and that nearly 40% of current US jobs may also be taken over in the next 10 to 15 years. So there are some significant headwinds that we need to acknowledge as accountants and also pivot to try and stay ahead of. This isn't meant to scare you, I hope, especially as young accountants who've just received their accounting degrees. Your degrees are incredibly worthwhile and very valuable. So long as you're proactive about the changes taking place and continue to pursue lifelong learning, as Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardena said earlier. There are a range of different technologies that I think might impact accounting in the future. Here's a quick list. Clearly, we don't have time to go through each. I'll give you a bit of a whirlwind tour of a selected few. And to do this, I thought I'd look at an input process output model. So input in terms of Internet of Things technologies and the data that can gather, recording and storing these transactions and data using blockchain technology, and processing and interpreting this data using big data analytics and artificial intelligence. So firstly, the Internet of Things. Many of you might be using Internet of Things devices, but perhaps don't really realize that you are. Internet of Things technologies essentially refers to a constellation of different devices that can communicate with each other and make sophisticated decisions. There's a number of different layers. There's hardware layers, middleware layers, which process the data gathered from hardware like sensors. And there's an analytics layers, which deals with the communication and decision-making between other devices. But you can kind of think of Internet of Things devices as an array of appliances, smart technology, or sensors that are deployed within, say, a factory setting or a smart electricity grid. And these particular sensors and devices capture data at different stages of, say, a supply chain or a particular production process, and they relay that information between themselves to help make decisions. For instance, with a smart grid, you can look at how solar plant generation through, say, solar panels and solar battery storage can be optimized using sensor technology to turn certain devices on or off based on the time of day or based on demand usage. So using this kind of technology can significantly change current operational processes and help for greater efficiency and effectiveness. But there are some challenges, especially for accountants. Firstly, with such a vast array of sensors that are out there at the moment, do we really need the data? Do people who are outside of the accounting profession really understand about materiality? What is the significance threshold within which we might need to operate in the future? So relevance of the data and the sensors really relies on the organizational priorities of the organizations that you work for. And that's where you as young accountants, I think, can really make some headwind. You need to define what the organizational agenda for your companies are going to be, especially as it relates to technology. So you need to be quite conversant about IoT and what it can do and what it can't do. There's also a range of other concerns to consider, like privacy, confidentiality, cybersecurity. And these are all incredibly important issues in the modern age, with so many different cybersecurity scandals, and a lot of my data has already been leaked through some of these big companies. So just because we have data doesn't mean that it's useful, and just because we have data doesn't mean that it's secure. So those are issues for accountants to consider, particularly with your knowledge of inherent risks, control systems, etc. The blockchain, the name of blockchain has really been tarnished by the idea of cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies are very important in their own right, but blockchain is a technology that underpins a lot of different cryptocurrencies. And very briefly, blockchains are essentially a decentralized way of storing transactions and reporting on transactions. Groups of different transactions are grouped or sealed together cryptographically, and any small change within those packages of transactions significantly alters the mathematics behind the cryptography, which means that fraud and misstatement is very easy to detect. So blockchains are considered quite transformative for accountants and accounting practice if used well. Blockchains can improve visibility and the inclusion of different groups, and that's because it's a decentralized system. So it enables transactions to be observed by many of the different participants of a particular blockchain. It allows transparency. So you can't really hide much information on the blockchain, at least in certain blockchains, others you can. And very importantly, it allows for real-time accounting. So most of you know, accounting is an art that's really backward-looking at times, but the process of recording transactions and reporting them in real time enables us to be much more responsive as accountants. And I'll show you a little model in a second. There are different types of blockchains, and that's something that's key here. A lot of the blockchains that you'd have been exposed to are what we call public blockchains, like Bitcoin. That's a public blockchain network. But the types of blockchains that I'm interested in my research are enterprise blockchains. And these are blockchains that are limited to a certain trusted group of stakeholders. For instance, a group of companies within an industry and say the government or the tax office. And they share information between each other securely, confidentially. So triple entry accounting is one of the innovations that I think we're on the cusp of, and this deals with real-time accounting that I was mentioning earlier. So blockchains can conceivably be linked to enterprise resource planning systems within organizations. So we might have conventional accounting systems like Xero, etc., that record transactions in our ledger accounts. But these can be linked up with blockchains, and there's different models of doing that. I don't have time to get into the specifics, but essentially the ERP can be linked with blockchains, and blockchains can then be linked with other stakeholders like the government or suppliers or customers in supply chains, and therefore share transaction data more seamlessly. And you might ask, well, what's the point of doing that? Well, it helps to automate processes, increase efficiency, and increase effectiveness that I was referring to in terms of IoT sensors as well. And that's because of this thing called smart contracts. Smart contracts are pre-programmed rules that are embedded into blockchains. For instance, when an accounts receivable pays an invoice, it can automatically initiate a smart contract, which then changes the ledgers to say this particular accounts receivable has paid, therefore we'll automatically update our bank and reduce our accounts receivable number. So triple entry accounting is something that you should be aware of and hopefully continue to investigate in the future. It could fundamentally re-alter what we do. There are some issues for accountants, of course, and that's typically to do with legitimacy issues about blockchains and how useful they might be in the future, especially because of their environmental impacts. Blockchain is only as useful as the information that's on it. So the source of the information becomes really important. So some of the research that we're doing looks at oracles, which takes real world data, which is off-chain, and brings it on-chain. So some of those oracles are the IoT sensors I was talking about earlier in terms of capturing data with integrity and with less chance of manipulation by a human. Smart contracts are also really important because they can reduce opportunistic behavior and incentivize good behavior. I was talking about real-time accounting, triple entry accounting. This is all in the same suite of this idea of continuous auditing. So auditing every single transaction as it occurs. That's a possibility, but accountants at the moment don't really have the skill sets to do that. So those of you who have the ability and flexibility to pivot and understand this technology could do very well in the future. Big data analytics, many of you would realize, and some of you have research on this, I can see from the conference proceedings, talks about the 7 V's: volume, velocity, variety, value, veracity, and variability. So with things like IoT sensors, you gather vast volumes of data at high velocity because there's so many sensors producing terabytes of data so quickly. So as accountants, we need to start grappling with the complexity of the data that we have available and the insights we can garner from that data. So as accountants, we need to always question, with our knowledge, how good is the data? And that links to materiality that I was talking about earlier. There are risks of data being processed. For instance, the robo-debt scandal here in Australia is a big issue that's currently under much scrutiny. What are the issues with data loss? How do we deal with different types of data? What about a big data strategy? And this is where you, as young accountants, I think, have a real role to play in your organizations as well. Few organizations have a big data strategy that's informed by accountants, and that's a key risk because accountants, as I mentioned earlier, have an ethical practice and have a very strong understanding of control systems and risks. And without that understanding, big data strategies are likely to be very limited and narrow. Artificial intelligence, a lot of you would have heard about ChatGPT, so I won't go into great detail about this. But artificial intelligence technologies mimic human intelligence processes in terms of learning, reasoning, and self-correction. But at the moment, they're really a black box. Few people understand what happens in terms of the processing of data and how particular decisions are reached. And this, as those of you who enjoy auditing would understand, is a key risk area. Because if we can't explain what we're doing, how do we know that what we've done is the right thing? So there are many different considerations before you can deploy artificial intelligence meaningfully. However, artificial intelligence can fundamentally improve scalability and speed at which we measure, manage, and report on transactions. AI can identify patterns that humans might miss. So it's done so in the medical field, diagnosing different illnesses that humans have missed. So it can do that in the accounting and business field as well. Fraud and misstatement detection can be automated. So you can see how this kind of technology overlays nicely with something like the blockchain in terms of real-time accounting and continuous auditing. However, we also need to acknowledge that while it might reduce human bias in some areas, it might reinforce human bias in others. So we always, as accountants, need to be careful about our use of things like AI in producing interpretations and analysis. And AI, as we found out, is getting better and better at not just replacing routine tasks, but cognitive tasks as well. So how can AI help accountants? Well, AI can ingest vast amounts of data very quickly and efficiently. And most importantly, while humans are sort of threaded into a particular framework of thinking, AI can toggle between frameworks very quickly and therefore can understand complexity much more easily. It can bring together different data sets much faster and understand relationships between those data sets that humans can't process nearly as efficiently. And this changes the way that we think of sampling. For instance, in auditing, rather than taking a sample of transactions, AI can potentially check all transactions, which is a big step up from what we're currently doing. And this can help us identify things like, what are the most risky areas that us as accountants and auditors need to focus on then? So it can perform reconciliations and variations, compare that to thousands of journal entries, and importantly, help produce interpretations. And this is where things like ChatGPT is important, but also very scary at the same time. Because some of you might ask, well, if it can produce interpretations, like it can read financial data and give us a summary of that data, can that potentially replace me as an accountant? I would argue no. And the reason for that is because you as accountants, you're not just summarizing machines. You've got a real strategic focus to your role, which is thinking about the future, thinking about uncertainty. And these are things that AI currently can't grapple with as well. So your job is to focus on strategy and advice, not necessarily summarizing past data. And we also need to think about accountability in general. So there's a range of future skills that I think young accountants require. And those are summarized in this particular IFTF report. That is, you need to have contextualized intelligence. And this deals with emotional and social intelligence. So it's not just technical skills that you have as accountants that are important. It's really your ability to manage emotions and manage social issues within the context of organizations, the politics, in other words. You need to have an entrepreneurial mindset, thinking about how do I take risk? How do I build innovation into what I do as an accountant, but also my organization? Your personal branding becomes quite important, and you need to be careful about your use of social media. And the last two, automation and computational sense making. This is really about why I wanted to do this keynote in the first place. As accountants, you need to be conversant with technology. You cannot ignore it. So in the future, we're likely to have augmented abilities as accountants, where we're not necessarily performing manual tasks, but we're using computers to improve the efficiency of our work, and then how we can focus on strategy and higher level thinking. So in summary, technological change will affect all professionals. It's likely to affect accountants, and we need to be aware of that. It's a key time for you, especially in 2023, to reflect on the skills that you developed in your degrees at USJ, and think about, how do I take those skills further in either future studies or through CPD that you might do as you become a professional. Accountants in the future, to me, would become translators between technology and business processes. And that's a key interlocuting role that you need to perform. There's a tipping point with many of these technologies. Different technologies are at different stages of diffusion. So we also need to be cognizant of that, and which technologies are probably going to be the most important for your organization to implement at any particular time. There are lots of risks and there's lots of opportunities, as I've been able to briefly mention. And those accountants and organizations that are likely to have competitive advantage are ones that are best able to exploit technology to improve their services and improve their products. So I hope I've very briefly been able to expose you to different technologies and its implications for accounting. I really wish you all the very best in your future careers. It's such an exciting time to be an accountant. Thank you.
Much, Dr. Sanjay Kurupu. Of the Department of He is also an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants in the UK. As a researcher in the fields of sustainability and accounting, Mr. Attupala has published articles in reputable journals, including an A-grade journal. With more than 8 years of industry experience as an executive-level employee and as an entrepreneur, he possesses a strong background in both corporate and business realms. Mr. Attupala actively contributes to the academia as a part-time lecturer for undergraduate programs and professional accounting qualifications. Currently, he is pursuing his doctoral degree at University of South Australia, aiming to advance research in sustainability and accounting practices. Dear sir, we are honored to have you with us today. He also will be joining with us virtually. Please welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Upeka Attupala, to share his expertise with us.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. I hope I'm loud and clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let me share my screen. Give me a second. Once again, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Chair and the secretary of the conference, Dr. Sanjay Korupu, keynote speaker of the event, Dean of the Faculty, Head of the Department, and my dear lecturers, and most importantly, dear young accountants. First of all, let me congratulate all my my dear young accountants who are presenting their research outcomes today. You have done a great job, and it will create a huge difference in your career in the coming years. Second, I always enjoy receiving invitations from my department as a proud product of Department of Accounting. This particular invitation to speak at the Young Accountants Research Conference gave me immense pleasure due to two main reasons. First one, this is the first opportunity that I got to officially talk to my young research accountants. And the second of all, I have a strong relationship with the subject matter that we are talking about today. When I was an undergraduate, research is not a subject for us. It's not even an elective subject. But after studying research methodology in year 4 semester 1 from Professor Ajwad, the passion to do research in ourselves became prominent. But then we realized that there's no subject that we can undertake. So I can remember myself and two other my colleagues, we wrote with the assistance of Professor Ajwad and also then course coordinator Dr. Gayatri to the Senate requesting a subject. And I think, I don't know whether our request made a huge difference, but then only we got the research project in accounting introduced to our curriculum. So later I got to know that it became a compulsory subject or core subject for all of us, all the undergraduates. And today I see it has grown remarkably, and it has grown up to a level where we conduct these type of conferences as well. So my roots are deeply connected with this subject, and I would say that this subject particularly changed my entire life. So therefore, I'm extremely privileged to take part of this prestigious event. So the topic that I'm going to talk about today is about the importance of research in accountants' day-to-day life. The importance of research that I'm going to talk about today will be coming from three main areas. So I will categorize it into three main subtopics. First, I will look at why research is important for accountants. Then I will look at research in day-to-day life. And as particularly requested by Dr. Nuwan, I will share some of my experience with you all. The first area, why accountants need to engage in research. As Dr. Sanjay explained, AI is not more only in Hollywood films or science fiction. It's in real life. So this creates a huge impact set of challenges as well as opportunities for accountants and human being as a whole. A study conducted by Oxford University states that there is a 95% possibility. I think that is the same thing that Dr. Sanjay shared a while ago. And there's a 95% opportunity where accountants can be replaced by AIs in the future. Importantly, let's look at what are the fastest declining jobs in the market. So according to World Economic Forum, let me quickly get my pointer. According to the World Economic Forum, we are on the number 7th of the fastest declining job list. On the other side, over the last 5 years, there are about approximately 5 million accounting job cuts that recently been noted by the World Economic Forum. So here we see a huge threat or huge challenge towards our profession. But we always have an opportunity always associated with a threat. Now, if we look at the positive side of this, when we pay our attention to the top 10 fast growing jobs, there are jobs related with sustainability, there are jobs related with business intelligence analysts, and there are jobs that demands data analysts and scientists. So these are the areas that the typical accountants can step in by reskilling and upskilling their existing skill base. So therefore, we see a gap between what we already know and what we need to know. So as accountants, there are a set of technical skills that we are having, which are fastly declining, and there are huge demand for some other set of skills. So how do we bridge this gap? According to my knowledge, a possible or feasible way of looking at it is doing research. Why am I saying that research is important in this context? So if you look at the accounting academia over the years, so what we identified in the history is that accounting is a technical subject. So we need to focus only on management accounting, financial accounting, taxation, likewise technical areas of the subject. But later, we introduced soft skills into it. And then we identified the importance of information technology in the recent past. But stepping one step ahead, stepping moreover ahead, now what we realize is not only soft skills, not only IT, not only the technical skills, we need to broaden our horizons, we need to broaden our boundaries by incorporating other trending topics such as ESG and digitalization and all the other aspects. So here, what I see research as a determinant of strategic direction of our accounting discipline. That's why digitalization comes into play in accounting research. That's why sustainability, strategy, and governance, all these aspects coming into play in our discipline of accounting. So borrowing from Professor Alawattage's terms, what I realized, what I identify this as bringing back the public interest to our profession. So my argument here is that research is not an option for accountants, but it is something inevitable for accountants to stay alive or stay in the market. So that's what I initially wanted to highlight. Now, stepping into the second area of my speech, that is research in day-to-day life. Now, from a broader sense, let's try to understand what is research. For me, it's about asking the question why, and it is also about systematical problem solving skill. So asking question why and identifying the root causes and solving problems is all about research in this context. Now, before talking about the day-to-day life of accountants, let me quickly look at what are the skills that the world is demanding now. For a second, before opening this World Economic Forum report, I thought that, okay, robotics or AI or digitalization would be the skills that the people are looking for. But trust me, it is not. What people are looking for at this point is the analytical thinking and creative thinking. So I'm a strong believer that the jobs can be replaced, but not the skills. As long as you have the correct skill set, you will not be able to replace. So now it is a problem how to identify or how to develop analytical thinking and creative thinking as skills in our day-to-day life. So again, the solution awaits with the research. So let's see how it works. Now, if we look at a typical research process that you go through when conducting academic research, what we initially do is always we look for the research problem, then we look at literature review, research method, then you do the data collection, analysis and conclusion, and finally communication. Now let's see, at each and every stage of this process, there are a particular set of skills that you can develop. For example, research problem. Since you all have done research, you could have identified that identifying the proper problem is the one of the most difficult parts. Why is that? Because the problems that we see nowadays are not the real problems. They are just symptoms. So as a researcher, what you need to do is not limit your research to symptoms, but you have to go and identify the root cause of the problem. So therefore, in my opinion, properly identified problem is a half solved problem. So that skill you can develop by doing or by undertaking research in your day-to-day life. The second important part is understanding objective. So once you identify the research problem, you develop solving that problem as your objective. So once you derive at the objective, all your methods, all your analysis and everything, data collection, everything related with that objective. So by doing research, what you train is to work around an objective, a particular objective. So that is a great skill, a very important skill that you can develop by doing research. Second one, literature review. For me, the most important skill that I developed by conducting literature review is to see the big picture. So once you do the literature review, you know what others are thinking about the phenomena. And also, you will appreciate what others are saying and how it is being affected in doing your research or developing your opinion. So this is all can be framed as being able to see the big picture. So seeing big picture is very important, especially in the corporate world. And also it will avoid you reinventing the wheel because you know that it is already been identified. So you can avoid reinventing the wheel. Research method. So that will helps you to identify tools to solve your problem. So when we take a problem, there can be many different ways of solving it, but you need to know what are the best tools available to solve your problem and why it is the best. So that justification gives you the analytical thinking required in solving problems in day-to-day life as well. Data collection. So it is about gathering data to solve your problem. So this is where you start to appreciate the accuracy of the data and also trustworthiness of it. And this will also help you to expand your network. So your network will determine from where you can collect your data. So this is again one of the major important points that you can develop in your day-to-day life. Then the analysis and the conclusion. So this is one of the most important things where you systematically approach the problem and arrive in conclusions. So this is, for me, is mainly about having or developing your common sense. So when you derive your final decisions, you have always have to come up with a logical argument, a set of conclusions which make sense to everyone, which make convincing to others. So that is one skill that you can definitely develop by doing research. And finally, communication. So effective communication is always very, very important. I know that your supervisors are coming behind you when there's a change in full stop, when there's a change in comma, but you will realize that when you go to the market, it is very important when you are writing an email or maybe you are drafting a proposal, business proposal, this skill is very, very important. So all in all, aren't we developing our critical thinking and analytical thinking through this research process with the added advantage of communication skills? Let me quickly apply this in a typical accounting scenario. So where you have to, let's say, analyze an investment opportunity. So from a traditional way, you can just do a NPV calculation or payback calculation and provide your recommendation. But if you dig deeper into it, you have to identify the objective, understand the industry, understand the key variables. So that is about understanding the problem and also seeing the bigger picture. And also, when developing your answers, you have to use your common sense and your data should be accurate, trustworthy, and you can utilize your network to develop your model. And then when you do the financial modeling and the analysis, yes, definitely you need the logical reasoning and argument building. This is where you can get the support of AI or the new developments, digitalization developments, but not let them to replace you. And finally, as I said, the effective communication is very, very important. Last but not least, let me quickly talk about my experience, which I'm not willing, to, which I'm not very interested in doing so. But since it is requested, let me quickly tell you my story. So the biggest and the best decision that I have ever made since I graduated is that not to stop doing research. So I continue my dialogue with my supervisor. I did it as a hobby, the research as a hobby, but eventually, after all, it became my full-time bread and butter. So the research skill that I gained through my undergraduate period is immensely important when I was especially when I was an undergraduate. So once you submit your transcript, most of the interviewers are looking at what is the grade that you got for your research. So therefore, having A in your transcript will create a huge difference in your application. I just talked about how I utilize my research skills as an employee. So I worked, I actually ran my startup company for a longer period of time. And trust me, I have utilized mostly my research skill when developing my business. Now, as an academic also, I have won a full scholarship to study in Australia. So that is mainly because of the research skills that I developed throughout my journey. And trust me, in spiritual life is also what we apply is research methodology from a very broader perspective. And as someone who has experienced it, trust me, it is also about your research skills. Final thoughts about someone who is dreaming about an academic career. So these are only for the 1% those who are trying to get an academic career. I know that 90% are going for the industry. So I want you to stay in touch with your supervisors even after you graduate. Do not stop your research after your graduation. And I want you to publish your undergraduate research as much as possible, attend research conferences and do networking, collaborate with other research groups, and consider research career as building a global brand. So you are the expertise in that domain. So you are building a brand that is visible to the entire globe. And one last advice that I got from my previous supervisor, Dr. Nuan, consider research as an enterprise. So that is something that I am following. So it's like building an enterprise by your own. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much for listening to me.
On the importance of research in accountants' day-to-day life. As we approach the end of the inauguration ceremony, I would like to now invite Ms. Natasha Kaumadi, an organizing committee member of Young Accountants Research Conference 2023, to deliver the word of thanks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for being part of this 4th consecutive Young Accountants Research Conference 2023, organized by the Department of Accounting. So today we have gathered here to celebrate the spirit of research, innovation, and academic excellence of our very own young accountants. So I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. Dushan Jayavikrama, Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, for gracing this occasion with his esteemed presence. Also, my heartfelt thanks goes to our head of the department, Senior Professor Kennedy Gunawardena, whose unwavering support has been the driving force behind the success of this event. We are honored to have esteemed academians from the University of South Australia, Dr. Sanjay Kurupu and Mr. Upeka Atupola, joining us virtually to share their invaluable thoughts as the keynote speaker and the guest speaker respectively. To our session chairs, thank you for your time and commitment in ensuring the smooth conduct of the technical sessions. Also, I would like to thank all the research supervisors of these 35 young accountants who will be presenting today. Your guidance and expertise have played a pivotal role in maintaining the high standard of this conference. Furthermore, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all the lecturers of the department and the faculty for participating in this prestigious occasion and supporting immensely throughout. Further, I would like to thank all the non-academic staff members of the faculty and the department for their valuable contribution. I extend my gratitude to AFMA students who have come forward to offer their support and encouragement to their peers. Last but not least, I express my deepest appreciation to Dr. Nuad Gunaratna, chair of this esteemed conference, for his leadership and guidance throughout the organizing process. Also, along with that, I would like to thank the organizing committee members, Ms. Amali, Mr. Gayantha, Mr. Janit, for their valuable contribution. So as we commence with the technical sessions, I wish all the presenters the best of luck in presenting their research findings. Your hard work and dedication will undoubtedly enrich our understanding of the accounting domain. So once again, thank you everyone. Let us make the most of this opportunity to learn, share, and inspire each other. Have a fruitful day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Natasha. To officially mark the end of the inauguration ceremony of the Young Accountants Research Conference 2023, kindly join with us for the national anthem.
Sri Lanka Mata, Apa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata, Sundara Sri Tarini, Surani Ati Sobamana Lanka, Ranya Ganaya Nikamal Valaturu Diri Jaya Bhumiya Ranya, Apa Hatta Sapa Siri Sata Sadhana, Jivana He Mata, Lili Kanu Mena Apa Bhakti Puja, Namo Namo Mata, Apa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata, Obame Apa Vidya, Obamaya Apa Satya, Obare Apa Shanti, Apa Hagatula Bhakti, Apa Aloke, Apa Ge Anuprani, Apa Jivanane, Apa Muktiya Obave, Nava Jivana Devini, Nithina Apa Kubudu Karan Mata, Jnana Pira Vadavani Rahina Yanu Mena Jaya Bhumikara, Ikkamavakage Daru Kala Vedina, Yamu Yamu Vinopama, Prema Vada Samaveta Durara, Namo Namo Mata, Apa Sri Lanka, Namo 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 Mata.
There's a small one more reminder. We have prepared a backdrop for you all to take photographs. as memories of this significant event in your life. So please feel free to go there to take photographs after the technical session. Thank you very much, everyone. I wish you all a wonderful and a fruitful day.